Captain, incoming message.
It was the dawn of the third age of mankind. Groovy.
Hi-ho. This is me, Kermit the Frog.
Hello there.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Not a great plan.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hey there, we're those sci-fi guys. This is at those sci-fi guys show. Just two working dudes, different lives, different jobs, but a whole lot of love for science fiction and the fun that comes with. We are your hosts. I am P.S. McKay, and my wife called me short today.
Wait, what?
You've called me short.
Your wife called you short?
Yeah, she walked into the house and looked at me and goes, "Hey, shorty." And, yeah, I didn't appreciate it.
I'm DT Caveman, and I wouldn't mind being a few inches taller, especially if I could stay the same weight.
It's not an unkempt secret that my wife is an inch or two taller than I. So, but there are times it shows up more than others, like when she's wearing boots and I'm barefoot. So, yeah, believe me, it's a thing. She used to complain about how she couldn't wear heels. Not like she was a heels person, but much of a heels person. But yeah, she always had to look for flats.
You just need to buy some wedges.
Oh, you mean like inserts?
Sure.
I'm not saying I didn't do that, but I'm not saying I did either.
You could get some 4-inch platform shoes from the 70s.
Yeah, that would be inconspicuous, certainly. I don't even know.
Wear those with the super baggy pants from the early to mid 90s.
Do they even yeah, that would hide them. Do they even make shoes like that? Didn't they call them like elevator shoes or something? Like,
Yeah.
do they even do that now? Like,
I
mean, I know they do like
probably.
Dr. Scholl's inserts or something for like, plantar fasciitis or something like that. But do they even do like inserts for elevation? Like this is my genuine question. I've never even looked it up. It's never been that much of an issue for me. But
the only elevation I ever got was putting on boots. So.
Oh well, yeah. There's that. And yeah. There's a joke in there somewhere about being Rocky Mountain High or something, but I can't put it together. So, don't look at me with disdain. Don't do that. You know it's true. There was something there.
Just Dane, not disdain. Just regular Dane.
What does that even mean?
Means you're a dwarf king from Lord of the Rings.
Son of a bitch. Dane. Dane the Great.
Dane Ironfoot.
Son of Dune. Brother of Dean.
Cousin of Thorn.
There we go. So anyway, how you doing, DT?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Good to be back.
We've had
a doing this.
Little bit of a hiatus. I have attained a puppy, and we can actually talk about it now. And that was, I'll say,
just because you look so ragged.
Yeah, that's my excuse.
I'm not anti-dog, people. I'm not anti-dog.
Well, you never grew up with one.
The text messages I've been getting from you have been harried and frantic.
They so were. You're like, hey, dude, when was the last episode we're going up? I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe Thursday. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. 2 weeks later, I finally do it.
Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice.
Yeah, you're opening at the crack of fuck, so we can't record.
If only I was opening at the crack of fuck.
Yeah.
I was opening at the crack of hell.
Oh, man.
hotter.
A
Even
little
in
bit
this
hotter.
cold.
I know. It's looking like it's unbearably cold in New England right now.
Actually, no. The last few days, it's been around 40.
Okay, well that's nice. It been in the mid
I'm sure
low
next
60s
week
for
it'll be
us,
like
but
12, but
yeah,
or
yeah,
maybe it'll wait 2 weeks till I'm opening next, and then it will hit 12.
yeah. Hit 12 in the morning. Because it's February. February is a weird month for weather. It's so stupid. I hate it. I hate winter. I'm so glad that it's on its way out. So glad.
Yeah, so tomorrow's going to be 44, Friday's going to be 48 and rainy. Saturday's going to be 33, then up to 41, then 50 on Monday, 55 on Tuesday, and probably 8 on Wednesday.
Dang,
That's
dude.
just, I don't know because it only goes out to next Tuesday, but I'm just predicting it's going to take a nosedive.
Yeah, probably. Probably. That's the fun part. So, well, as they say, if you don't like the weather in New England, just wait 15 minutes. It'll change.
Yep.
In that exact same voice. That exact. Oh, Peter. You know, when Family Guy first came out, I had no idea that it was taking place in Rhode Island.
Why? Because Alex Borstein sounds New York Jewish.
A little bit. That
That's
was my
Lois
impression
Griffin.
too. Yeah.
Not super rich New England Protestant.
Not at all.
I mean, I love the fact that they still treat Newport like it's 1895 instead of whatever it was, 1990.
Oh, I know, right?
When it came out.
and the Barrington Country Club, which stands in for the Rhode Island Country Club, which is in Barrington. And they're like, oh, hey, a black guy. Oh, neat. Like, what? That was when that happened. When I saw that joke, I stopped and I was like shocked. My mouth dropped. I'm like, shit, I think they're right. Just just because they're right doesn't mean I have to like it. But anyway, so
Barrington was getting a couple of shots taken at it between that and something about Mary in the late 90s.
Yeah. Was it Moogie? No, Oogie?
Woogie.
Yeah.
From Barrington.
Woogie from Barrington.
Wookie from Borington.
Yeah. Borington. It's a delightful town. I love it. Their police blotter on the weekly newspaper is something to look out for because they are very tongue-in-cheek in their reports. So I just have to say. Anyway, nothing but love for Barrington. Anyway.
Rim job.
Aww. Did you say rim job?
Isn't it?
No! Rim shot! Rim
you
shot.
Said tongue in cheek. You said tongue in cheek.
Oh my god! What? I'm freaking blushing, dude. Oh my god! And the show has taken to a new low.
As you can see, we're doing the blue.
The blue light special. Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
Before we get into any more trouble, anything you want to discuss before we get into the subject?
So 2 things. First, I've been a big watcher of NCIS for a long time. This past week, they did their tribute to the late David McCallum, who, of course, played the Emmy Donald Ducky Mallard from the backdoor pilot in JAG all the way through to last season. Now, Ducky the character, was a everyday regular probably through the first 15 or so seasons, and then due to his advanced age, and of course David McCallum was like over 90 when he passed, but he was still appearing in probably about half a dozen episodes a season the last few years, and of course he passed during the writers and actors strike. So while that sucked, it also meant we didn't get some cheesy in memory of card at the end of our an episode. They actually built an episode around him, co-written by the actor who plays his autopsy assistant and later successor as the ME at NCIS.
Yeah.
So the guy who probably had a majority of the scenes in the second half of the series with him. So it turned out to be pretty cool. It was
nice.
It was a very nice tip of the hat to a not only a really great character, but also a pretty well regarded and respected actor.
Yeah.
David McCallum, of course, who rose to fame in the 60s by playing a Russian in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. opposite with Robert Vaughn.
Okay. Oh yeah. The original Man from U.N.C.L.E.
The original Man from U.N.C.L.E. Yeah, it was Robert Vaughn and David McCallum.
Nice. Okay.
So, yeah. And of course, David McCallum has bounced around. I know he was on an episode of Sequest, but I actually think he might have been on an episode of Babylon 5.
I cannot. Unfortunately, I cannot advise.
Well, of course, I can because I'm pretty cool.
I'm just looking at all the copyright violations we had in our video 2 videos ago.
He was
right now.
He was in an episode of Babylon 5. And of course, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. being a 60s spy show, kind of like Bond and stuff like that, they kind of veer a little into the sci-fi a little. Maybe more of the practical science fiction with all the gizmos and stuff, but...
Yeah. When did he pass?
But, September.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm glad that there was a send up to him. That's nice. This was a recently aired NCIS?
Monday.
Okay. All right. So it took a little while because of the strike and everything. Gotcha.
Yeah, but it was actually only episode 2 of the new season, so they needed to wrap up the first episode was to wrap up the cliffhanger.
Right. That makes sense.
So they dedicated basically the entire episode into not only giving the character a send-off, but investigating the last case that he was looking at. So, good old-fashioned police work. And the second point I wanted to bring up was because of how much I enjoyed our romp through nostalgia and memory lanes with our favorite cartoon theme songs. I decided to actually give the reboot DuckTales a try.
By the way, before you go any further, I just noticed in that video is completely copyright restricted in the US and Canada. So no one can see it.
Oh, on the video?
No one can see the whole video. The whole video is stricken from the US and Canada right now.
So it can't be on YouTube.
It's on YouTube in other territories, but not in the US and Canada.
Okay.
So,
but it's still on the audio version is still on our website.
The audio version
clearly
is still
it's
up.
on iTunes.
Yes, that's all still there. It's YouTube though is like I'm literally reading this right now, and it says partially blocked. The video is blocked when some territories do, and pulling it up. NBC. You want to know which which video did it to us that blocked the whole video? Exo Squad.
Interesting.
The Exo Squad intro theme song got flagged and is blocked for viewing in Canada and the United States. So I'm literally going to have to go in.
Maybe they're getting ready for a reboot.
I'm going to have to go in and edit that out. I'm going to have to. It's just going to. It's unfortunate, but we're going to have to do that. Anyway, so you decided to give the rebooted DuckTales a go around.
Yeah.
Delightful. It's delightful.
So you've seen it?
Oh yeah, that was premiere viewing with me and my son, and
cool.
He was really excited to watch it all with me. So,
well, for starters, the new theme song or the updated version of the theme song, pretty good. It's very upbeat.
Didn't we play that along with the old one, or did we just talk about the old one? Oh, okay.
We just talked about the old one. The old one is a little slower too.
Yes. Well, of course,
a little bit of a slower beat. But it's a pretty good theme song.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the new version was. I very much enjoy it. It's actually, in some ways, it's easier to understand some of the lyrics.
Yeah.
It could just be the way the recording and how the music is set against it. It's just a lot of. I'm like, wait, is that what it said?
What was that? Like
said,
hearing the
is
lyrics like differently?
No, clearly.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, that's what that word's been all these years.
It's funny when they actually do it digitally, and they can actually make it sound different. So better. You can hear what they're actually saying.
I'll say it's crisper.
Yeah.
The original is still quite delightful. But the show's good.
It's much more serialized. And the end of the pilot,
extremely serialized.
The end of the pilot show, they do like several episode arcs, and then they've got one long arc, and that's usually how it works now for general television viewing. But the stuff with, did you know that Huey, Dewey, and Louie's mother was named Della?
Okay. First, for starters, I'm only like partway into season 2, so beware.
Well, they referenced,
yes, I do.
Their mom
yeah,
at the end of the pilot.
Yeah, no, I'm tracking all that. I actually think that it was from somewhere in the original Scrooge comics or the Duck comics.
Yeah.
So it's not something they just invented, which, bravo. They've done a lot of nods to the old Scrooge comics and the Duck Family comics. Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, holy shit, did I not know until I just read a video or just watched a video recently. DuckTales has some strong Indiana Jones vibes.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Because Lucas and Spielberg actually read the old Uncle Scrooge comics where he was globetrotting. No shit, actually did it, read it, and they've both later admitted that some of those comics filtered into the Indiana Jones.
Oh.
And apparently later there was an omnibus of like Uncle Scrooge comics that was dropped in the 80s, forward by George Lucas.
Huh.
Yep. And if you ever noticed, the DuckTale logo looks very much like the Indiana Jones logo.
Yeah, you're right. Fascinating. Well, there you go. Look at that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So do I. Plus, it's one of the things I really like about it is that they used this DuckTales to salute all the greatest Disney afternoon cartoons.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They literally had an entire
afraid of-
episode where they were fighting an evil organization over gummy berry juice
Yes.
with the same sound effects.
Yep. Yeah.
The
And
same
how-
bouncing sound effect, that same sound effect when you get the power up and then when you lose your power.
Uh-huh. And then what about how they treated Darkwing Duck? How he was an actor and it was a TV show.
Right now, I've only seen that
It's a TV
in
show.
the TV show. I have heard that it becomes a real thing, but I haven't been to that episode yet.
I haven't given anything away that you. I knew that you've only seen that part, so I haven't given anything away. It was literally a
But
TV
it's
show
Jim
they were
Cummings
playing
is
on.
back.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty wild. It's
And
actually
he's
the
got
way they do
bobblehead
it.
that keeps saying,
The way they do it, dude. You're gonna love it. You're gonna be blown away. The way they did that writing, it was fantastic. So
well, I mean, they also have Don Carnage in the Sky Pirates,
I know they
who
do.
were the main villains of Tailspin. So literally, I think that Chip and Dale show up at some point. Some of these there's an upcoming episode I've seen called Quack Pack, which was a late Disney afternoon one.
Yeah,
which I
from
think was just
96.
Donald and the nephews.
Yeah, and the nephews were in their teens at that point, so they were all like, their hair was long, they wore Hawaiian shirts, buttoned down.
In the Shadow War episode where Scrooge gets sucked into the dime by Magica, the two-parter to end season 1, where they're fighting all their shadows.
Yeah.
Random shadows showed up that looked suspiciously like Goofy and Mickey.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this show is like an Easter egg hunt.
Oh, it's a Easter egg heaven. Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be like if Scrooge was leading you on an Easter egg hunt through Disney's cartoon history.
Yeah.
It makes me giddy when I watch it. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And of course,
it's fun.
they have references to their movies like Storkules and Zeus. It's like the Greek gods, but they're like, I think they're the voice actors from the Hercules, if not movie, the TV show.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, you got to think about it like this. They made this show, and this is one of the rare things that Disney did right in the late teens of this century. They made
Having an
the
actual
show
Scotsman?
that too, but they made the show as a Valentine to the original fans with all of those tributes, and they made it accessible to those original fans' children.
Agreed.
Which made it a delightful watch for both generations, because both generations got something different out of it that they truly. I'm talking about this from firsthand experience. My son loved it on its face value. I loved it for its Easter egg tributes and everything, and my son delighted in seeing me so delighted at talking about all the references. So
my daughter and I have watched quite a few of them. I freely admit I'll watch them without because I think she might have seen some of these before.
Yeah, yeah.
I very much enjoyed watching it, and she snuggles up. I've actually gone back and watched a few episodes of the original DuckTales to kind of balance it off there. But David Tennant is a great Scrooge.
I thought I would have a hard time with him, but no, I fell right into it right away. He was great. He doesn't sound like the original Scrooge. He's got the same.
No, he
cadence.
sounds real.
He sounds real. Yeah, I know. He's got the same cadence and everything. There's a more genuineness to it, I think, too. No, that's not right. That's not right. But yeah, I did fall in love with what's his name?
David Tennant.
David Tennant. Thank you. As Scrooge.
Although I kind of preferred Scrooge in the blue.
I did miss the blue.
I know that the red is from the original comics, and that's Scrooge's traditional look, but I really just prefer the blue.
I do too. It's a little bit more easy on the eyes. And that
Yeah.
maroon is a little rough. I mean, the whole color palette for the new DuckTales is in the yellows and the reds, as opposed to the blues and
It's
the
a more
greens.
muted color
Yeah.
color scheme as well, and that's fine. I don't have any problem with it. The animation is excellent. The voice cast is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Paget Brewster is fantastic. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh, and I thought I would have an issue with Huey, Dewey, and Louie having their own different voices and stuff and sounding less ducky, but I didn't. It was great. Because it's neat because they have their own individual personalities, which is a different take on it than the original show, right?
But it's also very 21st century adult cartoons with these spastic kids.
Yes.
I mean,
you say that like it's a bad thing.
Well, sometimes it's like when you're watching Lower Decks and some of them go off on their bouncing off the wall kind of stuff. But
well, that's a writing issue, but these are kids. These are Huey and Dewey Louie are kids.
Also true.
So
also true.
As opposed to Lower Decks where they're grown ass adults who are in Starfleet. So
yeah, I know. Still fun though.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, so this isn't the DuckTales show, even though it was quite good.
Can I just share what I started rewatching?
Mother Ducker.
I know, just real fast. I bought the first season of Andromeda.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. And it's aged, but I still love it.
I tell you what.
It is definitely a product of 1999, 2000.
Andromeda is a show that I think we would probably need to talk to when we do the things that deserve a reboot for upgrades.
Yeah, except that'll never happen because Discovery stole it. So, but yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I told you when I was watching that, I was like, this looks like Andromeda.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then I was reading through the comments, some videos like, isn't this the same plot as Andromeda?
It's exactly the same damn plot. Discovery was just like, well, instead of stealing from a video game, let's steal from something that Gene Roddenberry already did, and maybe no one will know. Like, so yeah. By the way, delightful show. Freaking love it. Kevin Sorbo, little monotone in his acting, but what I did
notice, had
the
greatest range. What he brought to Hercules was a bit of that warmth.
Yes, that is true. Here he's a commander. Well, he's a captain, but he's in command, and he's a he's a caring commander in looking out for his crew, and the crew comes first and everything. It just feels a little blunted.
Well, think of it this way. When he went to sleep, he was command of a mighty ship of trained military personnel. Now he's got a whole bunch of rogues and scoundrels on his ship, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I kind of think, and while Sorbo doesn't have the greatest range of acting, and
by the way, love Sorbo. Love Sorbo.
Yeah,
I love him very much.
I think it might have also even been a bit of a choice, that stilted like stuffiness.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
He gets a little better as the series goes on, but it's kind of an odd series.
It is, and what I couldn't get over, and I was talking to my wife about this today, because every single one of the women have massive lips. Massive. Like, just completely swollen. Like, did they take bees to those lips before they hit action? Like, I'm like, how can you talk? Like, like, why are you looking around all weird? Like, yeah, you. I'm talking to you.
This is going to get us into some flagged territory.
I'm just saying.
Moving on.
I'm just saying.
Before
I'm
you
like,
bury
I'm trying
us,
to think.
moving on.
Were collagen injections a thing back in 99, 2000?
Yes.
Were they?
Yes.
Like, that was
yes
an interesting choice back then. Don't make it weird, dude. It's an observation. I'm just saying it's a style of the time.
Okay. Anyway, since last week was the holiday known as Valentine's Day, we've been kicking around the ideas of...
I'm cloaking out of here. Later.
Okay, good. I guess I'll get better conversation. I'm tired of dealing with petty people. Bring it back on. Come on, man. Get it together.
Hello.
Anyway.
I'm back. Hi.
You're such an asshat.
Why should I change? He's the one who sucks.
Okay, Mike Bolton. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted by someone's passive-aggressive tendencies...
You're passive-aggressive.
No, I'm just aggressive.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Note the swords.
Uh-huh.
Anyway. Quiet, you. Anyway, so last week was Valentine's Day, and, you know, we kind of... I was having I was actually had a very interesting discussion. Somehow we ended up at the dinner table. Alien species, and we got on the topic of Vulcans, and you know, Mrs. Cavman, I think, had mentioned something of like Vulcans having no emotions, and of course the nerd thinking, oh, well, Vulcans actually have very strong emotions, they just repress them. You know, I was that guy, and I'm like, oh God, I just... Then she's like, oh really? So I have questions. And then it's like, well, then we ended up... There were very legitimate questions, and then we ended up, and I was like, well, you know, Spock is actually half human because he had a Vulcan father and a human mother. And my wife was like, how does that work? I'm like, that's also good questions. And I'm trying to like delve through the memory of that. And Mrs. Kazman has decided that she actually wants to know the love story of Spock's parents, how a human and a Vulcan could get together. Was it more of a diplomatic thing, you know, trying to learn to understand humans, or did he actually fall in love with a human, that sort of thing? And you've heard different versions of this story depending on which universe Spock you talk to. But
let's go with the original universe, canon universe.
But anyway, I mean, clearly there's love there with Amanda, but it also got me thinking, you know, those are some very good points. And there's a lot of interesting dating and relationships and stuff between species and cultures and stuff in science fiction.
Yes.
And also just lots of fascinating couples and relationships.
So I agree. Are we going to start with Amanda and Sarek?
Sure, why not?
Because I've thought about this more times than I really care to admit. And I've reached some conclusions that I don't know are good or bad, or just necessary in order to explain it. So let's talk about humans. All right. Humans as hominids, we're a bit unusual in the sense that we don't have a season, if you know what I mean, when it comes to reproduction. It's all year round.
Unless you live in the Star Wars universe, in which case none of your planets have seasons either.
That's true too. That's true. But you know what I mean by seasons. You know, so humans are one of the few animals where it's just not regulated by the year. There are a few other primates that do the same thing, but I don't want to get into it. So we know where Amanda comes from. Now, we know Vulcans, they enter into Ponfar, their season, every, 7 years?
Yes.
And that's usually... Now, we didn't see this in Strange New Worlds, by the way. We just saw them doing what humans do between him and T'Pring.
Yes.
But it's supposed to be when they enter Ponfar, that's usually when the mating happens. And it's never been specified if it happens outside of Ponfar. And I'm not using Strange New Worlds as a guide for that because those writers don't know shit.
I think it might have been mentioned in Voyager.
Was it when Tuvok went into Ponfar while they were in the Delta Quadrant, and there was that whole emotional quandary of what he would do, whether he just allows himself to die or not?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think I remember hearing, and this is very bad podcasting, but I could have sworn I remember hearing that, Vulcans weren't limited to once every 7 years kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's just where the urge to mate becomes like all encompassing.
Mountable?
Yes.
See, but here's the thing. Isn't the urge to mate an emotional thing? And Ponfar is a ceremony that allows the channeling of that emotion, because otherwise that person's going to die.
Yeah, but if it happens once every 7 years, doesn't matter the ceremony, I guess. Either it happens or it doesn't.
True. See, I have Spock here talking about the Ponfar, but I can't. See, now here's the thing. Also, Vulcans live to be 250 years old. So the whole 7 years thing, that could still work out with them having many children, because their lifespan is 2.5 times ours. And obviously their mating cycle is probably 2.5 times longer.
By the time of like the next generation, though, it's maybe only twice ours. They're living to be 250, and humans are reaching well into the 100s.
True, but I'm just trying to make a point that the 7-year cycle of mating would still work due to the extended life cycle that Vulcans have. Now, here's my thought. Amanda, who fell in love with Sarek, who doesn't need to do that act except once every 7 years, was fine with that, apparently. So I reached the conclusion as a psychology student that she was not a fan of said act very much in the first place. And I've concluded that usually humans who marry Vulcans have some kind of emotional discrepancy that is more in line with Vulcanism than it is with typical human social interaction.
It seems weird because anytime you see Amanda, she's very, and I'm talking classic Amanda, she's very warm and loving to her son, not afraid to be outward with her affection.
Sure. All of that can be mutually exclusive from the actual act.
How do you feel?
Exactly. How do you feel? How do you feel? Why, Spock?
Tell my
what is wrong?
mother I feel fine.
Yes. And Sarek almost smiled. He almost smiled. And see, that was the great work of Mark Leonard right there. But that's my takeaway from Vulcan mating biology, especially when it comes to humans being with Vulcans. Like, humans will choose to be with Vulcans because they want to be emotionally distant in the first place. Does that seem fair, or does that make you uncomfortable?
I don't know, because there's no evidence of pointing to it. No hard evidence.
Exactly. I'm not saying it's a bygone conclusion, but that's the extrapolation I'm taking out of it. And and that's what I've decided for the last 20 years.
Explain Trip and T'Pol.
T'Pol was damaged. What was it that caused her syndrome? Was it Bendai syndrome?
Something like that. It was one of those syndromes, but it was like brought on by weird metal.
She was assaulted. She was mentally assaulted.
Right.
By one of the Surak.
The Melders.
Melders. Yeah,
it
wasn't
Melders.
Surak. Yeah,
the
Rogue
was
Melders.
Cured technically by the Sirenites.
Right.
They helped her.
Thank you for clarifying that. You're right. But she lost a lot of her emotional control because she was graphically assaulted by one of the Melders, violently yes. So, and that's understandable. And she would have been prone to finding companionship, especially with someone she's spending so much time with, like Trip, who is a personable individual, caring.
I'm studying human sexuality.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I get $100 for every time that trope has come up in some college movie or even heard it out in college, dudes attempting, I'm studying human sexuality.
Oh God.
Oh, but a hot alien says it, and of course, and of course she's gonna try it on gullible Florida man.
Yeah, it would work. You know it would work, dude. I'm not proud of the idea that it would work, but you know it would. Doesn't even have to be Florida gullible man. It can be, Massachusetts acerbic witted man. It doesn't matter. So that's my excuse for T'Pol.
And in fairness, that was like the only relationship really on Enterprise.
It's true.
At least that was seen beyond one or maybe two episodes. T'Pol's unfortunate betrothal notwithstanding.
Yeah. And again,
ironically enough, they found an actor with almost so little charisma and personality that he actually is almost a real Vulcan.
He kind of fell back.
I've seen that guy in so many other things, and he is such a charisma vacuum. I'm not saying he's a bad actor. He's just, all of his characters are so low energy.
Well, he found his strength, and he gets cast for that strength. So, good for him. He's getting paid. So,
hey,
he's living the dream.
I will say this. A relationship I wanted to see more of was Archer and Captain Hernandez of Columbia.
Yeah, I liked her. I thought she was great.
Well, she called him on his bullshit, but she also was his equal.
Oh, absolutely.
Mentally,
well, as it should be.
Yeah. she's not Captain Love Interest. She's Captain Hernandez, who's a pretty badass commander in the couple of episodes you see her in.
Yeah.
But also, she and Archer are on an equal footing.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt that was a missed opportunity as well.
I think that was just the side effect of the series coming to a short end.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, we still would have had 3 seasons to work on that and develop that and everything. Which
Even
would have been
one
great.
more season. Even if they were able to get to season 5.
Yeah. Screw you, Les Moonves. I fucking hate you.
Yeah. You and your moon vest.
It's so bad. It's such a bad vest. Anyway.
It is.
So
that literally is a joke from 30 Rock. It was
really?
excellent.
Oh,
Yes.
Damn. While we're on Enterprise, shall we talk about Phlox and his
The Denobulans.
races, the Denobulans practices, which caught me off guard as a young 20-year-old, 21-year-old, young 20s. As a guy, all right, let me just say this. As a guy in North America who has no money in your early 20s, you are at the bottom of the barrel. Let me just say that. You're miserable. You have no clout. You got no one's interested in you because you're just scraping by. So I was watching this whole thing with Dr. Phlox and introducing his wife to Trip, who outwardly showed affection towards Trip. And Phlox was like, "Oh, did you decide to have relations with her?" "Well, I fully encourage it."
He's like,
Commander.
"Dude, it's your wife."
Yeah.
Well, because, like, I guess Denobulan culture is everybody can have, like, 2 spouses, I guess, or something like
3.
that. 3 is
spouses.
it 3?
And it's not like it's all branched out. So you could have one out of a trio of, it's like a big network.
I mean, cool. If that's what their culture is, that's what their culture is.
They handled it the right way in the sense, like, yeah, that's what your culture is. That's cool. Not for me. And I feel, and Trip, per his own standards, couldn't stand the idea of having relationships with someone who was betrothed to his doctor.
Married to his friend.
Yes, exactly. Like, and that's a little conflict right there. And to the Denobulans' credit, they understood that and were cool with that. They're like, "Okay, gotcha. Understand." I felt it was handled well.
Well enough.
Yeah.
Fox's wife, he was definitely hitting above his weight class with that one, though.
Don't do that. We're not here to say that. We're not. I know. But we're not gonna.
But I love Phlox. And
I do
not
too.
solely because Phlox sent me a birthday message. But I love Phlox.
Right.
Phlox is a great character.
Oh, delightful. He was the kind of character, and I hate to say this, but he was the kind of character that Neelix was supposed to be. That's true. He was.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be a sense of wisdom, an outsider's perspective, an ability to guide, and it just didn't come off that way.
Well,
with
they
Neelix.
didn't really use Neelix guiding that much. Really.
No, they did not.
And after a certain point of how far they traveled, Neelix would have been out of his element pretty.
Well, there's a whole episode about that.
Not pretty soon, but maybe within a year or so.
Yeah, a year and a half at most. I mean, they certainly should have been out of Kazon territory after season 1, but they weren't. The Kazon were still somehow hanging around.
Well, don't forget, they keep stopping every week. If they just kept flying,
Yeah.
Stopped only when needed for supplies or something. Just keep trucking.
Yeah.
Now, it's a little boring, but just keep trucking. You're trying to get home.
By the way, I want to bring this back. Poor Trip Tucker, because ironically, that's the name of my dog, Tucker. I didn't even realize that until now.
Does he trip people?
He trips all over the place on himself. It's cute. So we just did 2 relationship analyses that involved Tucker, right? Well, guess what? There's 2 more. Shall I bring you to the episode 5,
Where
season
Trip
1?
Gets pregnant?
Where he gets pregnant, unexpected. Where he has to go over to this alien ship to repair their warp drive, but their environment is a little incompatible with typical Class M, so he has to be acclimatized, and he gets a little messed up in the head, and the female, I guess female, it was definitely played by a female, but I don't know if you'd characterize her as a female. She was definitely feminized, but they share a special moment in a progenitor of a holodeck, and yeah, he gets pregnant, and she's like, I didn't realize you could get pregnant.
That's when Kif gets pregnant, because
that's right. That's right.
Leela touched his bare glove, bare hand.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. But yeah, so Trip gets pregnant there, and then he gets fully involved in season 2, episode 22, Cogenitor.
This is the one where the species have like a third
gender that needs to be involved in order to help the fertilization take place.
Mind you, this is in the background. Reed and his counterpart are just always sneaking off to have sex.
Reed and who?
It's
been a year and a half since I saw it. I forgot.
There was somebody Reed was with, and they were hooking up because he was
really?
just hanging. Yeah.
Good for him. Poor Reed. Yeah, he deserved it. But
yeah, we could go through all the doomed things, all the doomed relationships on Enterprise, and that would be a complete and total separate
I
episode.
know it would be. This is my last Enterprise reference, by the way.
Trip gets involved in this cogenitor, and I don't know, I guess trying to get her to stand up for herself.
Well, he sees that she's intelligent, but she's treated as more of like a pet.
Sure.
Like where they talk about her. Yeah. They talk about her as if she's not there in front of her and stuff. And he doesn't like that. And the thing about these cogenitors, this third gender, is that there's not many of them. You have to apply to get one for a certain amount of time before you can have your chance to get pregnant, and then that cogenitor moves on to another couple. Like it's all regulated because again, it's like they represent 2% of the population. So rather uneducated, not very well vocalized, shall we say. And so Trip, behind the Vissian's back, starts teaching her to read and teaching her things, about Earth culture and things like that, causes her to come out of her shell. And the whole controversy is she has to go back to being this cogenitor, and she doesn't want to anymore. And in the end, she commits suicide because she can't go back to that world after seeing a bigger world outside of that. And the biggest tragedy of all is that not only is she gone, I'm going to say she because it was played by an actress, even though it's cogenitor. Not only is a cogenitor gone, but we have a couple who can't get their child, so we have a baby that's never going to be born. And they're devastated. Like, it's a tragedy all around. Like,
the question I have is, how does this population survive? Just in general, if they're that low on the.
I'm just throwing out 2%. I know it was something low. That might be too low. I don't remember off the top of my head the exact number, but it was something where it required rationing, where you had to have a lottery or apply for the cogenitor, and it would take a while to get the opportunity with another one. So, but you're right. I mean, it makes you think, like, how would a race like that do so? Which, brings me to the Drax of Enemy Mine with Dennis Quaid.
Oh, okay.
The
Enterprise
Drax.
ripped off that with an episode 2.
Oh, Next Generation did that too with The Enemy. Are you kidding me? That episode, that movie has been ripped off by Star Trek numerous times. So, but the Drax are a monogender where they what do you call it? They self-reproduce. But what bothered me was when oh shoot, what was his name?
Dennis Quaid.
No, the other one, the one that played the alien. When
Louis
he was
Gossett
pregnant.
Jr.
Yeah, when Louis Gossett Jr., it's not Chadich. You're laughing. But when Louis Gossett Jr.'s character is having the baby, he has complications and he dies. When I first saw that movie, though, back in the 80s, I thought that that's just what happened to the Drax. So I'm sitting here going, well, if the parent frickin' dies every time they're going to have a baby, how is this population in the millions? Like, it's not true, but they would have multiple babies on their own. But it's weird, though, to think about. Imagine being a monogender culture where you would just self-reproduce and you get to the age of like 18 and then your body's like, okay, producing another little one. Whether you're ready or not, here it's coming. Like, no intervening action needs to take place. It's just going to happen on this time. Think about the implications that would have on society.
Yeah.
You're pulling back
It would
from me
cause
here.
it to crumble. It would cause it to crumble.
Well, the way we have it structured, yes. But you would have a whole new society completely structured around that biological fact.
Look, we're not salmon, bro.
I'm just saying. You would perhaps the child would be living with the parents for, another 5 years after being 18 or something or whatnot. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. It's an interesting implication that Enemy Mine brought out that I don't think anyone's really thought of in depth. Shall we talk about Klingon rituals and how it's basically domestic abuse?
Yeah, but in a lot of ways, it's both ways.
Well, come on. If you saw two humans doing that, there would obviously be police called. This is true. But yet in Deep Space Nine, Jadzia has to go in to see Dr. Bashir numerous times for broken ribs. And we know why.
Yep.
And everyone's okay with this?
Well, what was the episode looking for Parmak in all the wrong places? Where Worf and Dax kind of
probably one of the best episode titles ever.
Named after the great country song "Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places."
Yep.
By Johnny Lee.
I know, it's so great.
Looks like she gave Worf a few bruises, and then Quark and Grilka come in all banged up.
I forgot Grilka and Quark gave it a go. I forgot about that.
She beat him like 2 or 3 times in the house of Quark, though. Kind of deserved it sometimes.
Well, yeah, because, Quark was just completely uncouth when it came to the female persuasion.
A little lecherous.
Yeah. So, that's fine. But again, by human standards, not exactly something that's agreeable in society with, is it?
How about Mark Talk's wife?
Well, she's a fantastic woman.
Sorella.
She's fantastic. Look at her.
Magnificent.
Magnificent. That's what I was looking for. That was the word. Yeah, and he's the general. He's the all-encompassing general of the Klingon fleet, of the Klingon military, basically. And yet she's the one that wore the pants in that house.
In the family?
Yeah, if you know what I mean. Like she wore the armor in the family, not him. And I found that to be a delightful dichotomy right there, a delightful juxtaposition. It was great. So, but again, Klingon, and if it's between Klingons, it's fine. Like between Kalar and Worf, when you see them for the first time and they show an instance of the beginnings of a mating ritual, what is it? He's holding her hand. And he's holding it so tight that he's digging her nails into her own palm and it's drawing blood. And then cut to commercial. And then they do the thing and we come back and they're smoking cigarettes, which is fine. But when it gets to be a human situation, think about that. If you have a human mating with a Klingon that you like to be beat the crap out of, one would have to think that there's some kind of emotional short wiring. Is there not? Same way, I mean, we're talking like in a different way, but the same as if a human one needed to be with a Vulcan. You're pulling back on me. Don't be afraid to talk about this.
The fact of the matter is there's people who have their own personal fetishes and preferences. There are people, normal humans, who prefer their mating rituals to be more aggressive and rougher.
Oh, you're talking about rough trade.
I'm just saying. It's something people do enjoy.
I am so putting an explicit on this episode, by the way. And
you're the one who keeps diving in down the rabbit hole on it.
Isn't this what we're supposed to be talking about? If we just talk about relationships, yeah, they were together. Oh, they were together. But this is supposed to be diving into the meat and potatoes of what an interstellar couple would be dealing with. I think that's a more important aspect of how we're going to go through this. And if we're just going to deal with it skin deep, then I'm out. It's boring. These are big questions to ask, right?
You can still have a deep conversation as to whether or not they were a shitty couple or not.
Well, I mean,
there's plenty of cases of these. I mean, we talked about Enterprise having very little in the way of actual relationships.
Right.
They're all one episode things. I mean, there really is only one that lasts more than maybe 2 episodes.
Understood. But all I'm saying is we have the high and mighty Federation where violence is beyond human capacity now at this point, unless it's in self-defense and, warranted. But when it comes to, sleeping with a Klingon, it's okay to get the hell beaten out of you and no one's gonna bat an eye about it.
No, it's not good. It's not okay to have the hell beaten out of you. You have to give it back.
Okay.
Klingon relationship is filled with mutual bludgeoning.
3 broken ribs. How would she be able to fight back against Worf and inflict other equal damage on him if she's already got 3 broken ribs and she's 110 pounds soaking wet?
Phaser?
No, that's not true.
Kinks?
No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying she didn't have kinks. I get it, but I don't. But I'm just saying it's a weird dichotomy that you're seeing here, and I used that word already. But I'm never going to use it again.
Let's not forget that humans are generally considered to be a physically weaker species than most of them around you.
I agree. Yes. Like every single alien has some kind of physical advantage over humanity in every single capacity in that universe. in some form or another. Which point?
Yeah. I mean, interracial, interspecies relationships, it ain't easy, man.
Of course it's not easy. But what does that say about the human that wants that? Anyway, moving on. I'm just throwing it out there as a sequel.
Explorers to seek out strange new life and new civilizations.
Well, we already understood that Kirk got the space clap multiple times.
Boldly go where Captain Kirk has gone before.
Oh, I could have. I'm going to move on that one.
Oh, now we get to move on?
No, I was about to say something very uncouth, and I'm not going to do it. But see, here's the difference between what Captain Kirk did and what the Rick Berman era did. Kirk was just a love of the week because it was the swinging 60s man, wild and crazy, free love and everything. And that was reflected. That was, yeah. And that was reflected in the original series. But in TNG and on, we had a real life issue called AIDS, and relationship dynamics changed drastically because of that.
Which is why Picard always made Riker sleep with the other ladies.
Oh, Riker was just a horn dog. I mean, he was just.
He did play the trombone.
Yeah. Listen, DT, you're known for your terrible jokes, which I find delightful in most cases. I gotta file that one away, though. I gotta put a grievance in on that one. I can't let that one go, dude. I'm sorry.
No, you definitely need to let it go.
I can't. I gotta file it away. No. I'm gonna put that away for a grievance later. So putting that in the file.
Remember, Riker fell in love with a hologram.
Yep. Yeah, and then he fell in love with the Janai. Really quickly. So
what actually it makes me curious is why he fell in love with the girl from the A-Team but hated Barclay.
Wait, was Minuet in the A-Team?
No. The Janai was, though.
What? She was?
That was Amy, the one they...
I don't know the A-Team at all, so...
Oh, see, that's,
Was she a regular?
Yeah, for like the first season and a half.
Oh. I'll have to look this up.
She was basically April O'Neil if the A-Team was the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Amy. You said her name was Amy, the character?
Amy Allen.
Yep. Melinda Kulea. Oh, this is a picture of her in Family Ties. And she's known for Star Trek The Next Generation, A-Team, The Fisher King, and The X-Files. Oh. Which episode of The X-Files was she in?
I'm telling you. Riker wanted to get down with Amy, but hated Murdoch. I don't know why. It's so weird. See, this is a reason why having Mr. T come on The Next Generation as a Klingon was such a missed opportunity.
You're saying he never came on as a Klingon.
He could have been Kern.
Oh my god. Okay. First of all, I love Mr. T. But Kern was delightful as Michael Todd.
Tony Todd as Kern.
Tony Todd.
Was fantastic.
Sorry.
Tony Todd is great. I'm just saying, like,
Tony Todd
trying to give.
Go ahead.
When Riker's trying to give Kern, I did the foreign exchange, and so if you'd like some pointers, I'd be happy to. And Kern's basically like, since we are on a Federation ship, I will not kill you for you on a Klingon. All Mr. T, if he was Kern, would have just looked at him and said, "Shut up,
please.
Fool."
Oh, you did the Mr. T impression. There it is, everybody. It's out there. Now who is the one that's awkward? So
hey. It's all fun and games until he throws somebody through the air, over a bar.
It's true. He did that a lot, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over cars, over bars.
Okay, so here's the question. So if Mr. T played a Klingon, would he have had Klingon gold chains?
They could have worked it in there. He could have been like
he wore those chains up until 2009.
It could have made sense. He could have worn it, this is the mighty Klingon gladiator.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. How about that? Huh?
I still say it's a weak. It was a missed opportunity. Mr. T as a next gen DS9 era Klingon would have been perfect.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that.
Anyway, getting back to relationships. All right. So you want to talk about here's an interesting Riker and Troy.
I hated that they were so off of their relationship throughout the series. I hated that. They were obviously emotionally impacted with each other, and the book by Peter David was fantastically well done. In Zadi.
Yes.
Which it was actually so well done that it made the TV series indefensible as to why they weren't together.
Because Riker was the space pimp for the Enterprise D.
and Troy was okay with this, apparently.
Well, it's not like she didn't date.
No,
usually creeps.
That's true. Yeah, she dated all the wrong people, and I'm not saying that Riker didn't.
She was looking for love. She was looking for Parmak in all the wrong places. Remember her relationship with Worf.
See, now that's the thing. I felt that, okay, a lot of people don't like the episode Parallels. I loved that episode. The one where Worf is jumping universe to universe, further and further away from his original. I thought that was a great science fiction concept. A lot of diehard fans don't like that episode because it killed the idea of the mirror universe. Like, why have a mirror universe if they're all just infinite anyway? I get that. Or the idea of yesterday's Enterprise. Like, okay, I get that. You're going to
maybe those were just two universes we didn't get to see up close.
Well, that's how I explain it. But I'm just telling you how some other diehard fans feel about it. Now, that being said, Parallels was what introduced us to the idea that Worf and Troy could be an item. And it was introduced like with 5 episodes left in the entire series, like maybe 6. And then they started to try to, capitalize on that a little bit. And I remember Michael Dorn in interviews around when Generations came out, he was like, I feel like the biggest missed opportunity here jumping into the movies is that we're never going to see the relationship between Worf and Deanna play out. And he was absolutely right. It made me depressed. Because I actually liked the idea of him and Deanna together.
I didn't.
You didn't. How come?
I do think that Deanna brought some good things out in Worf, especially as a parent.
She didn't do a very good job.
Well, when they broke up, clearly there was. But I don't know. It seemed a little forced.
Well,
and I just don't think that Marina Sirtis and Michael Dorn had the romantic chemistry, especially when I'm comparing it to his chemistry with Terry Farrell as Dax.
Well, that was
Dax was, I
something that
think,
was emphasized
more,
later, and I would agree with
and,
that.
and I think Dax's roguishness, the warrior, and her knowledge of the Klingon culture was better for Worf.
Sure.
Not that Troy wasn't empathetic or open, to helping him improve his relationship with his son, but a lot of these things came from like a psychological thing. Like she's trying to help Worf with his son. She was trying to help Worf after his accident. It feels a little wrong.
Okay, yeah. There was a conflict of interest there when it came to her professional dealings as the counselor.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I just didn't feel it worked for me.
Well, here's something that was brought up to me a few years ago that I didn't realize people didn't like. I just didn't realize it. I'm ambivalent to it. But what about Chakotay and 7 of 9?
Wasn't that like rushed, like right at the end?
Yeah, just like Deanna and Worf.
Again,
and I'm not too familiar with season 7 of Voyager because that was my freshman year of college, and there was just no way for me to be able to watch that season very well.
And I never saw it, so I can't really speak on it. So I think we're going to have to go ahead and give that an incomplete and move on.
I will say I did speak with someone who works at CBS who was live tweeting her rewatching the entire series in chronological order, all the series, like from TOS to the present. And she's an active worker on Discovery, and she was saying, and now I'm at the crappy point where Chakotay and 7 of 9 are starting to be relationshiped, and I hate it. And I, tweeted out to her, I'm like, I didn't realize that was an issue. She's like, it just felt forced. It doesn't feel natural. It's just one of those things where, like, why would you even explore this at this point? I'm like, okay, fair enough, because I knew that they were trying to be shipped. I think that there was something in season 6 about it too. But, so, yeah.
All right. Well, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So we're running short on time. We basically treaded water in the Star Trek pool. So what I think we need to do is lightning round. Best and worst couples in sci-fi and why. Give it a quick one. We got it. The closest thing we got was The Last Starfighter? Not The Last Starfighter. What was that one? Enemy Mine?
Yeah, Enemy Mine. And that was a monogender.
Yeah. So anyway, Picard and Crusher, yay, nay?
Yay, always yay, and apparently kind of yay at this point, which is interesting.
Yeah. I just think that the two actors had a really good working chemistry.
I do too. I always liked the idea of them getting together. Sisko and Yates, yay, absolutely yay. Loved Yates. Loved Penny Marshall. Yep. Not Marshall. Shit, what's her name? Penny. What's her name?
Penny Johnson Gerald.
Penny Johnson. Love Penny Johnson. Just fantastic.
Yep. Han and Leia.
No. I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
Okay, fine. Luke and Leia. Is that where you're going with this?
Yeah, totally going there. Hard pass. I'm trying to look up an actor and the character's name from Battlestar Galactica. Who was the athlete that Starbuck married?
Anders.
All right,
Sam
Starbuck
Anders.
And Anders. Yay or nay?
Not bad. I do think that she should have ended up with Lee, but
I found it disgusting the way Starbuck was to Anders.
Yeah.
I found.
Plus, she was a train wreck.
She was an emotional train wreck, which I actually found to be. I say disgusting. The relationship, the writing was fantastic about it. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
I did not like that character doing what she did to Anders, in that way.
Turns out he was a Cylon anyway.
Well, he more of an innocent Cylon. I mean, he didn't know.
On
So
Battlestar,
Starbuck and Apollo.
They were such a dangerous chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
All right, these are my two best relationships on Battlestar. Hilo and Athena.
Yes, but what about that awful scene with the evil?
I know,
with the
it
evil
was
Athena.
awful.
Oh,
But that was Battlestar.
that was so bad. That was so awful. And we saw a good Athena getting mad, and my wife even goes, "Oh,
Well,
stop!
remember,
Don't blame
it was
him.
Boomer.
There's no way for him to know." Yeah, Boomer. There's no way for him to know that it was you. It wasn't you. And my wife was even yelling at the TV. It was that emotionally wrenching to watch the whole thing.
It was
awful.
It was fucked up.
It really was.
But generally, across the board, they were a great couple.
I agree completely.
Let's see. And actually,
what about
the president and Adama?
Okay, if you were to ask me that in the first 2 seasons, I would have said no, go frack yourself. But at the end, they had been through so much together that just chemistry-wise, I think it was well done. I think it worked out. Like they needed each other more than anything.
Yep.
I agree.
I think you were going to say Ty and his wife.
Well, that was a messed up relationship.
Completely.
Like, just awful.
There was a lot of rough relationships.
Oh my God, just the worst. I mean, and again, that's war for you right there. That's wartime. That's occupation time. You know, that's when you're fleeing. You're forced to do awful things in many ways. And okay.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to think about it anymore.
But I think we need to bounce from Battlestar. It was pretty fucking dark at times.
It really freaking was. Can you get me somewhere lighter, please?
Babylon 5. Sheridan Zelen.
I always wanted that. I always felt that was right, especially after she went through her metamorphosis. It was very apparent that she was meant to be in that role.
Yeah. I think she brought something out of Sheridan that he had thought had died. And he really kind of enjoyed teaching her about humans, and they just had such a fun chemistry. And they were just kind of a sweet couple.
Way. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Mira Furlan gone too soon.
Why'd you have to go dark, man? You went dark.
But they were a good couple.
I need to get a bar at my desk or something because we're getting dark here.
But that's really it on Babylon 5. They had the one good couple. Everybody else had like tragic romances.
Well, Sheridan, okay, yeah, like Garibaldi.
Hell, even Sheridan had one.
I know, but Garibaldi with that
finally
that
got his happy
woman.
ending. Well, that was just hooking up.
That was there was potential there, but
there was. She was fun, but then she decided to go and steal, toxic waste from the Enterprise.
Oh, that was her, wasn't it? With Tuvok.
Yep. Who else was Ivanova's relationships were a mess. Franklin they were all a mess. Garibaldi was a mess, but at least he got his happy ending with that on and off girl he had been seeing at Mars. But that's about it. Everybody else had such horrible relationships.
Well, I think that the Picard. Here's why I think that's the case. Number one, if you have a happy relationship, there's nothing to write about because there's no drama. There's no pain.
Yeah,
there's no skin in the game. It's easier to have a relationship like that.
For the most part, I mean, there was
Ivanova
and
they had the Niles and Daphne situation. You could actually, that worked for 7 years on Frasier.
With Ivanova and Marcus, you had Marcus is sweet on Ivanova, and Ivanova doesn't want to give him the time of day kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
Marcus
for the most part,
right?
He was the Ranger.
Oh yeah,
beard, English accent, that whole thing.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, now you look at it, some of these sci-fi things, they're like, Han and Leia definitely in Star Wars. That's a definite up because they both kind of needed the shit that the other one brings to him. He needed somebody who believed in things, and she needed somebody to help her think outside the box a little.
Perfectly categorized, absolutely.
I don't know where you get your ideas, laser brain.
I did a speed watch of The Empire Strikes.
Looking.
I did a speed watch of The Empire Strikes Back a couple months ago, and by speed watch, I like zipped through different scenes to watch other scenes, like of all the scenes with just Luke and in it. And then I did another night where I just watched all the scenes with Han and Leia. And you know, it's interesting when you do it that way because it shows you like the full timeline of each character. It's so weird how that movie Empire Strikes Back started out with Leia kind of being into Luke, but not really. And having such a love-hate relationship with Han.
Him to piss Han off.
Oh, she totally did. Don't get me wrong, but it was originally written that she was supposed to be in love with Luke, as John Williams was told in the first movie. So, hence Leia's theme.
This isn't Game of Thrones. This is Star Wars.
Just saying. So, it's interesting how the movie starts out that way, and that it ends with Leia going, "I love you," and Han going, "I know." I can't even say it because it's just so wild. Yeah, I know.
It's iconic.
It's so iconic, and the problem is, I deeply regret the idea that I saw that movie at such a young age that I couldn't appreciate it for what it was at that point. And so, seeing it with adult eyes now, it's kind of dulled because I already know it's there. What do you mean?
Don't never try that with your wife. Always never. I realized it didn't go over well with mine. I love you. I know.
Oh yeah. No, that's such a dick move, dude. I hope you slept on the couch for that night.
I'm just saying, unless you're the intergalactic space pimp like Han Solo, you can't pull it off.
Won't be pulled off. No, I know that one. I know my limitations, dude. Yeah. All
right. Anakin and Padme.
Grave robbing. Or was it crib robbing?
Cradle robbing?
Cradle robbing, that's what it's called.
She was probably only, I think, 5 to 7 years older than he was.
Okay, let's see. He would have been
in the Phantom Menace.
10?
He was
in the Phantom Menace, and she was what, 16?
Yeah.
Okay.
18 and 24. It's not terrible.
No, but I can say this. There's no way a 24-year-old would be in any way interested in an 18-year-old in that kind of power dynamic. No way. No.
Not even if he was the chosen one?
He didn't know that.
What about if he told her about you mean she wouldn't fall in love with him if after he told her that he massacred an entire village?
See, that's the thing.
Okay.
So that supposedly happened after she kind of bonded with him, but I don't recall there being much of a bonding thing. See, that was the problem with Attack of the Clones. They were supposed to be together. They were supposed to spend time together, and they just talked. There was no moment for them to go through that was traumatizing that brought them together. The moment that they went through that was traumatizing.
What about being executed?
Father, and he executed an entire village. She wasn't there to see it. She wasn't there to experience any of the pain. She wasn't taken by the Tusken Raiders. Like, she wasn't in danger. And so she welcomes him back, and he is in this tizzy where he's panicking, saying, confessing that he murdered everyone. And she's like, come here, and hugs him. And like, no, dude, no. I mean, I get
Red flag.
It's a flag, girl. You gotta run. No.
Not a great love story.
That's a sign that
if you watch Clone Wars,
yeah,
you see that they do a lot better with that. But that's after already they had dropped the nuclear bomb that he just straight up admits to mass murder to her. Okay. Obi-Wan and Satine.
Yes. Obi-Wan should have.
Oh.
Yeah. He needed it. Yeah.
He needed her and she needed him.
Yep.
They were great.
Yep.
So star-crossed.
No argument.
I gotta tell you, man. It only seems to be like Star Wars relationships kind of go up and down. Like, you got some that are awesome, and then most are kind of.
Yeah. Okay. What about the Mandalorian and that woman on that planet with the indigenous peoples in the first season with the AT-AT?
Would have been all over that.
The chicken walker.
Would have been all. Yeah, would have been all over that.
I thought that would have been a very good thing for him to do. Like, she was
because
very capable.
You could tell.
She was caring. She wasn't messed up.
I don't think she was from that village.
I
You
have
saw
to go
the way
back
she
and
was
rewatch
taking
it.
down those targets. I kind of got the feeling that she came to this village much like him, seeking a new life, sort of thing.
Sure. And actually, now it could be that he could call her and he could have her brought to Navarro. Is it Navarro or Navarre?
They're on Mandalore. Oh no, he is on Navarro. Navarro, yeah.
Yeah.
Navarre
so
is
call her.
New Vulcan.
Yeah, Navarre. Ugh, fucking hell. That's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Dumb. By the way, season 5 is premiering in March. Are you gonna watch?
Yes.
Why?
I'm gonna close it out.
You're gonna close it out.
I'm gonna close it out. Yeah.
I don't
Bad
think we ever
Batch
did a
dropped
season
tonight.
4
I haven't
preview
seen
with
that
you.
yet. No, you didn't watch any of it, so there's no point.
I would be fine with you telling me about it because I'm not going to watch it. And if you want to, you
Okay,
want to share your thoughts about it,
Here's one: Culber and Stamets.
oh yeah, I'm fine with that.
They're a really
You know
good
what I
couple.
found surprising about Culver and Stamets? I liked that relationship, but I found some people in the gay community found it to be tokenism and unnecessary.
Well, I can't speak to that.
I can't
I just
either.
think
I
that they
liked
seem
them.
to have a
I
very-
liked them as a couple. I liked their personalities together. I thought it was great. But I was taken aback when I was like, yeah, and how about that couple there? And they're like, oh, please, you know that they just put that in there for tokenism. I'm like, oh,
Well,
wow,
yeah.
okay. wasn't prepared for that. I mean,
I'm not saying
okay.
that they're probably not wrong. Doesn't mean
no.
they could have been put in it for tokenism, but they still seem to be a good couple.
Both can be true at the same time. You are absolutely correct, but also that tokenism can be a put off to that target demo. So,
of course,
all the above. All the above.
I'm saying that's not. I just have found them to be a very refreshing couple.
I found them agreeable, and I was devastated when Culver died.
Me too. I really liked him.
I liked him a lot when he died. I think that the writers heard a lot from the audience being pissed off about him dying, and they tried to figure out a convoluted way to bring him back, i.e., through the mycelial
magic
network.
Mushrooms.
So stupid. Just he's dead. He was dead.
They might as well have just done what they did to bring Shax back and just make it all off screen.
Yeah.
Some secret horrible thing.
Yeah. It's true.
Oh, there you go. Shax and Ta'ana.
Which one's Ta'ana? Oh, the Vulcan, right?
The cat doctor.
Oh,
Shax.
They're a match made in heaven. And by the way, if you wanna be with a cat, what does that say about you as a Bajoran? So to play off of my earlier. I'm not wrong. Anyway. Oh shit.
Any good superhero relationships?
Okay, what about Black Widow and Banner?
No.
No? You don't think so?
I didn't think she had as much chemistry as she had with. I thought that they were going to reveal her and Hawkeye were hooking up in the Avengers.
I felt that was going to be a thing too at some point, but then I was actually kind of liking the idea of Banner and Black Widow. And then I came across a fan theory. I came across a fan theory that Black Widow was just pretending to be attracted to Bruce Banner so that they could deactivate the Hulk when needed. And then Banner or the Hulk realized this, which is why he chose to leave the Avengers at the end of Age of Ultron. Which very limited allusions to that in actual canon, but there's nothing to dispute that either, which I found interesting.
As much as I enjoy Steve ending up with Peggy, and of course I think a lot of this has to do with the chemistry between Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson, since they started a bunch like 3 or 4 movies together even before the MCU, so they're like buds. They have a really good relationship. One of the things I really liked was the friendship that you see develop on screen between the two of them, Cap and Widow. I thought that would have been a pretty neat pairing.
I agree.
Because they're like two opposite ends of the spectrum, you know? The Mr. Goody Two-Shoes from the past and the broken, former assassin. Each trying, kind of needing things from the other to make them into a functioning modern day human.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's true. I liked that idea too. I found their chemistry in Winter Soldier to be very well done. I liked that a lot.
Okay, so superhero couples. All right, Tony and Pepper.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Tony. What about Tony and Scarlet? I'm sorry, not Scarlet Witch. And Black Widow.
No.
It happened in the comics, by the way.
Everything.
The Ultimate Comics.
In the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
then he
I
killed her.
know it did.
Then he killed her when Russia invaded America. So, because she was a spy. So,
Yeah. Okay. Peter and MJ, and Tom Holland and Zendaya.
like it.
Yep.
Not a
Doesn't
fan
hurt
of
that-
Peter and Gwen.
Doesn't hurt that they. Oh, Peter and Gwen in when? In what?
In
With
the-
Andrew Garfield?
No, see, here's the thing. Not a fan of Peter and Gwen in the comics, but a fan of Peter and Gwen in the Andrew Garfield movies.
Okay, interesting.
I know it's a contradiction, but I really liked Emma Stone's chemistry with Andrew Garfield.
She seems like she can put up with the spastic nature of Andrew Garfield in that movie.
Yes, I agree. My wife is outside mashing her nose against the window next to me right now. She's wantonly distracting me. Speaking of couples, so
Well, there you go. Mack and Mrs. Mack.
yeah,
I buy.
All right.
We kind of went all over the place on this.
We
one.
did. I
That's
think.
why I needed the lightning round it. Otherwise, we're going to be doing the deep anthropological assessment of interracial and interspecies breeding in Star Trek.
I think that was an interesting discussion, but whatever. Obviously, we can't agree on everything. However, what I can agree with was I had a nice time tonight. So thank you.
Well, I did too, and I needed it. It was good to be back.
And on to the next one. So until then, everybody, you guys keep dreaming. We'll keep working. So long, folks. We're those sci-fi guys. It's out there.
And we'll see you up on the high ground.
Those Sci-Fi Guys is an independent broadcast by Alpha Site Productions, produced by DT Catman and PS McKay. Music courtesy of Camtasia. For more information on upcoming episodes, follow PS McKay on X at PS McKay, or go to thosesci-fi-guys.com for past episode information.